So what happened in 2023? What was the difference between 2023 and the 20 years that came before? Only one thing: the Supreme Court.
And real quick, before we get too far into this, I just want to make clear what they just said. These guys, the right-wing factions they represent, they were not considered political contenders. They were not considered part of the political norm. They were the fringe until Bibi brought them in. And the moment they get in, this is what they do in order to codify that win, in order to start to change the nature of democracy in Israel.
The Supreme Court was perceived by his partners, the Ben-Gvirs, the Smotriches, as the rival of what they want to achieve.
Because if you are an annexationist, the Supreme Court might stop you. So you need to castrate the Supreme Court from being able to stop you. At the same time, Netanyahu realized judicial reform could be a way to legislate his way out of his legal predicament.
Just out of the little legal predicament. And so, 1 week after Netanyahu returns to power with the help of the supremacist far right, they take active steps to undermine Israel's democracy. Protests break out in the streets again with renewed vigor. Violence escalates, spurred on by Ben-Gvir's insane zealotry in command of the police force, and the situation quickly grows to a fever pitch throughout 2023. And then that's when, tragically, but conveniently for Bibi, Hamas attacks on October 7th. The documentary does a great job of showing the actual footage of the attacks to remind us all how brutal it was. They don't embellish it with any kind of questionable stories like hundreds of beheaded babies or babies found in ovens or all kinds of crazy mass rapes. They just show the footage, which is horrific enough without propaganda or lies embellishing the facts. And as soon as Israel is under threat, the entire country comes together and shifts dramatically towards the right wing. Suddenly, the focus is no longer on Netanyahu, no longer on his assault on Israeli democracy. Now the existential threat is Hamas. Despite the fact that Netanyahu propped up and facilitated millions of dollars of funding for Hamas for years, specifically to keep the Gaza Strip destabilized. His own IDF ordered their helicopters to fire indiscriminately on vehicles returning to the Gaza Strip, likely killing dozens or even hundreds of Israeli civilians and potential hostages that were in and around those cars. It came out later that Netanyahu's intelligence services had known of the attack in advance, too, and they had not acted on that intelligence. In fact, they had coincidentally moved 2 full companies of IDF commandos away from the Gaza border just 2 days before the attacks, which I'm sure was just a coincidence and had nothing to do with their extremely advanced intelligence services knowing about the attacks in advance. And then, when the investigation into what really happened on October 7th got too hot, the court that Bibi was in the process of strangling ordered a suspension of the investigation. Nothing to see here. Are you getting the picture yet? Because if you're not, the documentary makes a point of showing in graphic detail the destruction that was subsequently reaped upon the Palestinians.